Good evening, ladies. It's Stephanie. For those of you that don't know me, I am the curator, the coach for the Amazing Women Who Don't Drink group, and I do regular Facebook Lives on a Wednesday evening. Sometimes I do more than that, and I do little impromptu ones from time to time, like I did today about a very badly made British pantomime joke I made that I had to explain. So welcome new ladies. If you are new to the page, there is a welcome video at the top of the page. Actually, if you're watching, can you just give me a thumbs up, click the like and let me know that you can see and hear me? That would be lovely. So yes, new ladies, watch the welcome video at the top of the page. Also, there are lots of extra free resources in the file section. Now, it's quite hard to find on an iPad, I think, so I'll let one of the other ladies tell you how to do that. But on a laptop and on a phone, there is a row where you can see about, discussion, members, files, photos, videos. So in the files section, there are 4 free videos, checklist for taking a break, hypnotherapy, recommended reading list, the rules, frequently asked questions, loads and loads of stuff in there that's going to really help you on your journey. So when you've got a minute, take your time. Also, I am taking sign-ups for the next 14-day mini coaching program. I will post the link later. I'm going to get all the ladies in for Friday, do some prep and get started on Monday. So if you're early days, if you're struggling, if you need a bit of extra support, it's only £9 for the first month. So keep the price really low so that we can keep you on track, ladies. Also, Elise has been doing some videos for us around breathing, so look out for those on the page. It can sound silly when we talk about breathing because it's just something that we do all the time, that we have to do because we need to breathe to live, but we very rarely breathe properly. So taking the time to breathe properly can feel really good, and it's so good for you. It's also sort of part of learning how to meditate and peace, and so it's all part of that type of work, yoga. So yeah, 5 minutes, that's all. Try it out, ladies, and see what happens. Also, we will be doing the Ab Fab challenge next week. So any ladies, stylists, hairdressers, beauty therapists, anyone that has got any ideas, give me a shout. And also Sally is posting her exercise challenge on the page. Loads going on, plenty to keep us occupied. It's a good time of year for it, I reckon. Also, the run up to Christmas, literally just before Christmas, I will be doing some Christmas giveaways. Not that I'm a massive fan of Christmas, as I'm sure you know, but it's not about me, it's about you as well, ladies. So yeah, okay, tonight's video, communication and relationships. This has been requested by quite a few people. Obviously this is huge, it's a massive subject. I'm going to try and keep it really simple because I could do a video about communicating with our small children, with our teenagers, with our elder relatives, you know, our brothers and sisters, family members, our friends, you know, because it's all slightly different. I'm going to focus more on male and female partner relationships. So whether you've got a male partner or a female partner, it's about those loving relationships. We're going to talk about communication there. So everything we do is about communication. Communication is key. If you become aware of how you communicate and learn about communication, hi Caroline, nice to see you, it will really, really help you. It will make life so much easier for you. As I'm sure you've heard me say many a time, you know, we can do us, we can change us, we can learn about us and, you know, exercise and do all these things. You know, there are things that we can work on for ourselves, and communication is one of these things, and it is crucial for pretty much everything. So the meaning of our communication is the response we get. Now, obviously, there's lots of people in the world and everybody's communicating differently. It's not all about you. But if you have a certain communication style and you notice a certain response, then it might be worth having a think about it. So to give you an example of this, sort of a crude example, Many years ago, I ran a team. And there was an office administrator who was brilliant at her job, brilliant, super fast, super efficient, really on task. But because of the way that she worked, she functioned in quite a high stress way. So super efficient, super fast. It was really important to her to get the job done. You could see her brain whirring, it was because of that, her communication was quick, fast, quite stressed, quite abrupt. And actually, if you didn't know her, you thought she was being rude. Now, when you got to know her, she was one of the softest, loveliest women you could ever meet. However, her communication style didn't give that. In fact, it was quite prickly, and it was quite difficult, and it was quite hard to be around. And when you pointed that out to her, she was devastated, because actually what she wanted was, she was an incredibly lonely woman, and she was very lonely, and she wanted friends, and she was a lovely lady and had a lot to offer, but she just didn't understand what was happening. And it's like, well, it was trying to hold a mirror up is quite difficult, and obviously I had to be quite gentle about that. But so that's an example of that. And then also in my team as well, there was the opposite end of that, this lady whose communication style was so warm and so soft and so gentle that when she spoke, you could literally see people melt. And that's not in a sexualized way or anything. It was just in her tone, and her manner was just so warm and so lovely, no matter what, with whatever she was faced. So you couldn't help but feel warm towards her. That's a really crude example. So 70% of communication is non-verbal. I know you've heard me talk about words and language, and yes, it is important, particularly when we're looking at therapeutic stuff and coaching. But a large proportion of our communication is non-verbal. Tone is massive. I want you to think about your tone. So, and also there's different times, isn't there, when our tone changes. So it's, if we're getting busy and stressed, you might notice that your tone changes. So two people can be saying exactly the same words, but if their tone is completely different, like I was just talking about the two people at work. So one person's tone is stressed, fast, abrupt, and the other person's tone is, the warmth and compassion. Same words, they will be received completely differently, okay? Tone, really, really important. So we can be responsible for our communication. We can't be responsible for other people's. Now, I just need to clarify a few things. When I'm talking about this way of communication, I am not talking about abusive relationships. So if you are, hi Marion, lovely to see you. If you are in a relationship where you are scared of your partner, or it is abusive in any way, what I'm talking about here is, I don't want to teach you how to communicate within an abusive relationship. I personally feel quite strongly that we all deserve to be in loving, measured, grown-up relationships, and abuse is just not acceptable at all. So I just wanted to cover that. Okay, so like when we've got little children or teenagers, we're tailoring our communication to fit with them. So mums or people that have worked with lots of different families, things like that, different age groups of people, you will know that you tailor your tone, your communication to whoever you're speaking to. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. So, and also if you've ever worked with children with learning disabilities, how you communicate is crucial. So sort of learning those different communication styles and tone. One of the reasons my communication style is the way it is, part of it, a lot of it's about my training and also the hypnotherapy training, but a large part of it is that I worked with families, and I worked with a lot of special needs children. So I've developed a certain way of communicating that's clear and very concise. Also, my youngest son really, really, really struggled with communicating, and he communicated through behaviour. So I had to learn a lot about how my tone, words, space, time, facial expressions, things like that. So I spent a lot of time practicing this. Okay. So I want you to think about your tone and how you're communicating, and then how that's received. Okay, that's the first thing. So if things are difficult at home, now it doesn't mean it's all about you. You know, if you're reducing your drinking or you're stopping drinking and you're making changes, changes change the dynamic in any relationship. That will be with your children, with your partner, anyone. And that it doesn't have to be, it isn't always like a conscious thing from the other person. They may not even realise they're doing it at the time. It's a shift in the dynamic. There's a change, and something's unsettled them. If you're in a long-term relationship and you want to be together, time, and I'm sure you know that already, ladies, and you don't need me to tell you. You know, time and patience is really important here. So you're focusing on you and you're making changes. That's amazing. Keep doing that. This is about you. This is your journey. Yes, you're in a relationship, but you have a right to do the work on yourself. You know, that's a good thing. It's a really good thing. You being healthy and happy and living your life makes you a better wife, better girlfriend, better mother, better daughter, it's all round benefits. If the person you live with is struggling with that, that's their responsibility, and they can either talk it through with you, or they can, you know, find someone else to talk to, but you keep doing you. It doesn't mean that you go back to how you were just to passate them, okay? So a classic example of this sort of communication, I'm going to use stereotypes here, I'm sorry ladies, but it's just to make a point. Think about the classic nagging wife. So you've been together a long time, and you know the communication's got into this thing where the wife just and the husband is unresponsive, and the more unresponsive he is, the more she, hi Julie, nice to see you, the more she continues, and they've got into this groove. Now for some people that will be fine, for others it won't be. If she stopped communicating in that way, it might change his response. Now she would need to be consistent, so it isn't a case of, oh, I tried that for a day and it didn't work. I'm talking weeks, maybe even months. It depends how ingrained this is, but I guarantee you, if you change your tone, you change how you communicate, it will change the response you get. They're like, either you say nothing and then they'll be like, why isn't anybody saying anything? Or you're saying it in a different way, or you're saying it less. Then that's a change, and eventually they will notice that, and that will hopefully change the dynamic within the relationship. That's a really classic example. If you change the tone as well, so I don't know about you, but if you've ever, you know, there's a certain tone that I'm sure you've watched people turn off to, particularly if you've got teenagers, I'm sure you've seen this. So it's about using tone differently so that it enables people to listen to you. Another example of this is in the past, when I've been busy, I can be abrupt in my communication, and I've done that sort of in different settings where I've worked, because I've worked in very, very busy settings, very sort of high powered environments where decisions have to be made very quickly, sort of life and death things. And because of the need for efficiency and fast decisions, then my communication has been quite abrupt, efficient, and people made that mean that actually I was quite scary or quite intimidating. Well, obviously, you know, ladies, I'm not at all, but I was able to take a step back from that. So that was the feedback I got. And I was like, okay, getting a bit of feedback, I need to have a listen. So I started paying attention. I was like, oh, yeah, okay, I can see, if you didn't know me, how that could be received. So I started to consciously change and slow down, breathe, not react so quickly, and change my communication, which in turn changed how people felt around me at work. So that's another crude example. So we are all unique individuals with our own set of values and beliefs, with our own model of the world. You know, as we grow up, we go through different stages with our values and the beliefs, and we're constantly changing. And you ladies in this group will be, you know, experiencing different periods of change. This is part of what this journey is. So we're all different, and even our partners, although they will be similar because that's why you're together, you will have similar values, but it won't be exactly the same. So part of communicating is also understanding your partner and seeing things from their viewpoint. You know, it's that old thing, it's not all about you all the time. So sometimes, a lot of the time, it's about listening and understanding it from their viewpoint. When there's stuff going on in the relationship as well, it might be really important for you to communicate something, that's your need, but maybe the other person isn't ready to listen to that. Maybe they're not in the right place. So yes, you can use the right language and the right tone, but if that person isn't ready to hear it, isn't ready to receive it, there's not very much you can do about it. So this is where the patience and the time comes in relationships. And I'm sure, ladies, those of you in long-term relationships, you've had those periods where it's just felt like you're butting heads and you can't get anything right. But then all of a sudden you're able to communicate and you can start moving forward. You know, being in a long-term relationship is hard work, and we don't get any training for it, and, you know, very little support. And ladies that are in these situations, I strongly encourage, hi Lisa, I strongly encourage you to use the ladies that have been in long-term relationships as well to sort of share learning. My experience is that it's hard work and people need to work at it, step back, be patient, keep trying different things and keep moving forward. It's a constant compromise and negotiation. But your communication can really help. It can really help moving things along, okay? So just remembering that maybe you're in different places, different parts of your journey. So ladies, for you, you know, you're reducing, you're taking a break, lots going on. Maybe your partner isn't. Maybe they don't want to. Maybe they don't need to. You know, it's entirely up to them. So you're going through this thing, which is your journey, and they're just doing whatever they're doing. So it's sort of remembering that there may be a little bit of a disconnect for a while. And after some time, you might need to work to find a connection. So if you drank together, maybe that was part of your relationship, you're going to notice that you need to find something else that you can do together, okay, that gives you that connection, that gives you that special time where you're together. So it's another time to think about. Okay, right, some little tips, because you know I love practical tips. So if you're in a long-term relationship and you love them and you want to be with them and you're committed, there's a reason why you're with them, and there'll be reasons why you love them. There will be. And maybe if things have been difficult, you've forgotten that. So remind yourself. Find things that you can appreciate about them. It doesn't matter how small it is, but just it could be maybe that they make you laugh, or they make you a cup of tea in the morning, or they always remember to tell you how beautiful you are. It doesn't have to be anything amazing, but it's finding something that you appreciate about them. You know, what are the things that you love about them? You know, maybe it's that they're warm and kind and gentle. Maybe it's that they provide for you. Maybe it's because they're a good father or a good mother, or, you know, there could be lots and lots of different reasons. And expressing gratitude around that. So you're in a long-term relationship with someone you love, that you're committed to, that you were probably very much in love with at some point, and maybe still are at different points. You know, you're not always in love all the time. Very few people are. You know, it sort of comes in like mushrooms in and out. And sometimes you meet in the middle and sometimes you don't. So it's focusing on the positives. So rather than getting focused on lack, and you'll have heard me talk about this with alcohol as well, and this is a good tip for any area of life, shift your focus. So what can you find to appreciate? What do you love about them? And expressing gratitude about that. When you come from a place of appreciation and love, it changes your communication. I'm not saying this is easy, particularly if things have been difficult, but try it and then keep trying it for me. It can really, really make a difference, okay? The other one is using I statements. So when you need to talk to your partner, and you want to talk about something that may potentially be quite difficult, use I statements. So you're not naming and blaming. So just watch out for that, because nobody ever reacts well to I don't like it when you do. No, see, I can't even do it. I'm so trained to use I statements. I can't even think about, God, wow, how well trained am I? So yeah, where you're naming and blaming someone, what you're looking for is you're owning it. So I feel like you don't support me at the moment, as opposed to you're an unsupportive bastard, something like that. Do you know what I mean? It can be received very differently. So use I statements. I would prefer it if you help me out with the children a little bit more. It would be really useful if we could sit down and talk. I would really, no, so it takes a bit of practice, that one, but use I statements. Sometimes people laugh because it sounds a bit sort of like therapy type, hippie type thing, but it really works. And actually, I'd rather they laughed at you for using I statements than you name and blame and people get defensive and cross, and that automatically puts your communication on the back foot. Okay, now this is a really good one, left the best one to last. This really works. You have to trust me. Okay, you can do this every night or every other night. It literally takes 10 minutes, but you need to explain it to your partner first. This is really, really powerful. So you set aside 10 minutes, the same time every day. If you can do every day, brilliant. If not, every other day, but as regularly as possible over probably a good few weeks, maybe even longer, before you start to experience a shift. So you find a quiet space, quiet time, phones off, and it's 5 minutes each, and you sit in front of each other. You sit in front of each other and you listen, and you take it in turns. So one talks for 5 minutes, the other person listens, no interruptions at all. And then when the 5 minutes is up, the other person talks, no interruptions at all. And you sit and you listen and you look at each other, and that's it. You do not pick up the conversation later on. You then go off and go about doing what you're doing, putting the kids to bed, cooking dinner, you know, whatever you need to do. So really, really simple, really effective. It's the action of sitting for 5 minutes, looking at each other and actively listening. Now, when you're talking, you can talk about anything. You don't have to talk if you don't want to. It's your 5 minutes. You could sit and say nothing. The point is that you sit and you're looking at each other, and it's active listening, whether you're talking or not. Okay. But the other thing as well is, don't use those 5 minutes to give that person a barrage of what's pissing you off at the moment. Okay, that's not what that's about. So if you need to say something, hi Lisa, if you need to say something, it's, you know, using the I statements again. So if you're really struggling, try that one. What that does is it builds intimacy very, very well. It's a slow burner, and it's very subtle, and people don't think it's going to work. I guarantee you it does if you keep doing it and you're consistent. It's really simple. That's it for me tonight, ladies. Remember, any questions, please ask. Otherwise, I will see you soon. Bye.